to the Maine Art Spirit Studio, and I have an exciting lesson for the second graders who've been waiting a long time for this. The last time I saw you guys, we were actually making boxes for our plaster relief self-portraits we were going to make. So that's what the lesson's going to be about today, and we start with a box. And I'm going to make a box by adding some glue to the corner here, and I'm going to hold that with some tape so I don't have to wait, because otherwise that will happen. And this seals it pretty well. So the first thing we were doing in class, the last thing we were doing, the first thing we need to do today for you people who are at home who are looking at this for the first time, is you need a glue gun, some tape, and some regular cardboard from a cardboard box. You can just make a box that might be this size already, find one, or you can make one. It's fairly easy. Measure it all out. The box has to be at least 2 inches high. Otherwise, it's not going to work, because your plaster relief has to be at least 1 inch thick. And we're going to fill the bottom with clay. So I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. So the first thing is the box. So remember this, everybody? We made a box together in class in second grade. So now we're going to make a plaster relief, and I'm going to get you guys all the supplies that you need so that you can do this at home with your parents. And after you're done, I'd love to see a photograph of it, take a photograph of it and send it to michael.vermette@iis.bie.edu. And I'd love to see it. That way we'll see the finished product. And when you come back, we'll get a close-up look of what we're doing. I'll give you the steps and what you're going to go through. Okay, the first thing we want to do is to take clay. I have this red Artem clay, which is used for animation. I've had it for years when we had a 200-pound set and we made a 3D animation out of clay. And I don't know why I have so much red clay, but I do. And it's usually, when you save clay for 5 or 6 years, it is mixed like this, and we don't ever throw it out because we can use it for projects like this. So this is the plasticine type of clay, and in order to get this so that it's not so hard to mobilize, the best thing you can do is use a hairdryer. Now I'm going to plug this in. Then we want to heat it up. It takes a minute or two to heat up the clay so it becomes really, really soft. In fact, clay can't release its heat, so it keeps absorbing the heat and absorbing it, and after a while it turns into a liquid. This plasticine is a kind of a plastic clay, so it should be fairly safe to use. One of the things I like about it is it really captures a lot of detail. And it's the old standby for making plaster reliefs. A plaster relief is like a jello mold. You know, you mix up a bowl of jello mixture that's kind of liquid, and then you pour it in a mold of the shape of something, and you wait for a little while, put it in the refrigerator, and pop it back out, and then this mold takes on, just jello takes on a certain shape. Well, that's what we're going to do today. Even kind of like a fossil as well. Things are going to be pushed into this clay, and what those things are, they're going to represent our face, and they're going to represent different parts of our face. And we're going to have a lot of fun doing that without thinking too much about it. So the next thing is you can see how real smooth and soft that is now. Before, this would have been really hard to do. And I'm just going to make a nice flat surface out of that. Any kind of heat would do this, even if you left it outdoors in the sun and on a hot day, which we really haven't had a real hot day yet, so I don't know if that's gonna work. Then kind of smooth it out with your hands. And we're ready to begin. That looks very good. So what we're about to make today is a portrait, very much like this one. This is made of plaster, and it's made of different materials, but each one of these materials are not real. They're actually a casting of a real object, like bolts and nails and screws and screw eyes and hinges and different things like that. So what we need right now is, to start, we take our pencil and we make pretty much a really deep egg shape. So this is where our head's going to be, like that. And in the middle of our head somewhere will be our eyes and our nose and our mouth. And we'll put different things. Now, if you want a very skinny neck, you'll go this way. And if you want a wide neck, it'll be out here more. So I'm going to do kind of in between. And so far, I have a portrait without hair and just the basics. Then I'm going to take a lot of different things that I have found in my workshop. And it's basically what all of you students will have is a whole bunch of bolts and things like that. I thought this could be my hair, and that could be an ear. And I'm going to push in. You have to push in really hard. It'd be part of my hair. If I could only unhook that, I think I'd be happy. Yep, I think I can do it. There we go. And that will go all the way around. And so my hair will be made out of bolts. And then I need 2 eyes. So I can have an eye made out of that. Press that in. And maybe I have another eye made out of that. And I press that all the way in. Or maybe that. That's an interesting shape. Maybe I'll go with a square. No one ever thought of a square eye. That would be really cool. And then I'll do this for the mouth. This will be a bolt for my mouth. I need something for my nose that will rise up. So maybe if I just, because the nose is between the eyes, maybe I'll just use this rock. These are things that are randomly chosen that I've kind of put in a kind of, you know, like a styrofoam cup. I'm not even sure if it's styrofoam. But anyway, and then what I'm going to do is put all the rest of what I have. I do need a couple of eyebrows, so I'll do some eyebrows here, like that. An eyebrow here. This is so much fun. Pushing anything into clay, or anything to do with clay, is a lot of fun. And it's starting to take out a portrait kind of look to it. And maybe I can put something like that. No, maybe I'll put that as an interesting thing in the background. I can put this there too. And I'm going to fill the background with a lot of busy shapes. Because the background should support the subject, which is the portrait. So in order to do that, it's got to be busier than my portrait. It's got to have a lot more going on for itself. Even this little shell would be kind of cool to put in. So I think I'll put this shell in. And then put another bolt there, one here. So you want to use every bolt you have in your cup. And you want to have about a cup of bolts. Just like that. And I'm working really hard here. I think I'm going to put that right there next to this. Oh, put that right in there. I'll put another bolt here. Represent patterns on the shirt, and maybe a button in the middle of that. And a stone up here. And another bolt in the corner. Always tend to the corners. Sometimes they get forgotten. They look so plain and bland. You want your background to be super interesting and very, very busy. And push down as hard as you can. Can't emphasize that enough. If bolts seem to be going in one direction, turn them around and make them go in another direction. If you don't feel like you have enough, you can pick these back out and reuse them, because that's what we're going to do anyway. I'm just about there, because I have this wonderful nail here. Let's see, I'll put that nail right there. And I need an end of my mouth. I think I'll do that. And I have a couple of bolts. A couple more bolts. Okay. So that's the next step, is to make a sculpture. And I want that a little deeper. So your clay is about 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch thick. And you can actually kind of carve into it and create a wonderful design. I'm going to push down everything. Okay, and the next step is we're going to be taking things out. So I'm going to start to pick out all of those things that Now, as you can see, there's a portrait there, but I'm going to want to very carefully start to back out some of these things. I'm going to put them back in here, and I do have a couple of more things I might want to add. So you want to press them in, use any kind of tool you can, something like a little gouge is what I'm using here, just to kind of pop it out. That works really good. Still putting things in here. Can you believe it? Like a paper clip. I think it'd be so cool to have a paper clip in there. And I'm going to take it out at the same time. You want to keep the integrity of the shape as much as possible. I don't know if I want to put a key in there somewhere. Don't know if I have any more room. Put it in anyway. Okay. Here's a key. And I'm going to pick all of these things out. It's going to take me a while, so I'll be back. That would be the next. And I'm continuing to take these things out. If you don't have something like this, you could just use a regular nail to pop these out. Anything that's firm enough to kind of work them out without damaging the shape would be what you'd want. I'm going to go back to this. I like this because it has a point. I can get to hard to get to areas without destroying the shape of the embossing that these shapes made. So we're actually using all kinds of shapes to emboss into the clay and try to keep the integrity of the shape. I love this plasticine because it actually holds the shape better sometimes than regular clay, but you could use regular